You're listening to the Empowering Process podcast with your host, Gail Kraft. Listen as she holds frank discussions around how your purpose, being present, and trusting your power impacts your life. Whether you're an entrepreneur, leader, or developing your vision, you'll find wisdom and insights you can utilize right now. Welcome your host, Gail Kraft.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Empowering Process podcast with your host, Gail Kraft. Just as a reminder, we're going to be talking about things such as your purpose, your power, and being present, right, in the moment. So, hopefully, you enjoyed my little intro as to who I am and you're ready to get to work because I'm ready to work with you and for you. So, let's talk today about staying motivated. I don't know about you, but if you're anything like me, there are times where I have looked so forward to doing something. I am so excited. And believe me, I get animated when I get excited. I'm going to be my biggest cheerleader about a project or something that I want to do. And then what happens is I get into it, and in a week sometimes, I'm like, oh, I have to do this again, right? I get this feeling of dread, right? I might get up in the morning, oh, here we go once more. Whereas when I started, I was so excited. Well, that's not unusual, right? And here's some of the things that might happen or might be the cause of losing motivation. So I'm going to talk a little bit of a few of the causes. There are so many, right? And then a few things that you can do to get your mojo back because we all want to have those juices going, right? And I know I do because the more excited I am, the better results I get. So, one of the major causes, and there are three major causes of losing your mojo, is lack of clarity on your purpose, right? When you're not really clear as to what that looks like, where you're going, if you don't have a nice guiding light to latch onto and to look into, if you can't step in to an emotional being of what that could be, then you're going to start to lose excitement. You're going to start to lose direction, and you might not be able to get it back, right? So when you're not clear as to why you're doing something, what it's going to look like when you're done, right? And how you play a role in that. If you're not clear, then you're working in a fog, and that can get frustrating, and you definitely will lose your mojo. I know I have lost mine when it's been, or if the target moves. I love that, right? I don't know any of you who work in corporates, right? Who have projects or things you're supposed to achieve, and then they get lost, right? Let's change the target here. Let's change the target there. So be clear about your target. My favorite is the feeling of being overwhelmed, right? What causes overwhelmed, right? I did a training session one time and I talked about what happens when people are overwhelmed and they focus on, I'm so overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. I'm so overwhelmed. And they focus on overwhelmed and they get overwhelmed about being overwhelmed. And because they're overwhelmed about being overwhelmed, they become even more overwhelmed. And as you can see, they're not getting out of being overwhelmed. They're losing their breath, right? They're hyperventilating over being overwhelmed, right? They can't think. Their mind gets cloudy around being overwhelmed. And so many people just stop. It's too exhausting. I can't do it. I'm overwhelmed with what I have to do, right? And so when we think about being overwhelmed, we want to step back a little bit, right? And right? No, you get to make different choices. So step back when you're feeling overwhelmed, step back, take a breath. Now, take a look at what it is that you are doing. Do you have too much on your plate, right? Are you expecting too much of yourself in a given moment? If you took a look at what it is that you need to achieve, out of what you need to achieve, right? What are the one or two tasks you can absolutely do today and the rest you can wait until tomorrow or let go, right? Absolutely can get to today. not maybe, not push it, but can absolutely accomplish. Because when you start feeling a sense of accomplishment, and that accomplishment might be just making the list and putting it in priority order and choosing. That might be all you can do today, which is fine. It's starting to take steps towards controlling the overwhelmness, controlling of what needs to be done, right? And then, does it need to be done? And if yes, does it need to be done by you, right? Probably not. Who can you call in to support you, to help you? Who can you talk to for guidance as to best practices, right? Who can you consult to kind of give you a sense as to really that's not more important than this? My experience has been blah, blah, blah. Call on your resources, use your resources. And if you have no resources, leave it to God, leave it to the universe, leave it to whoever you want to call it, but leave it till tomorrow and do only what you can absolutely accomplish today. And then the next morning, celebrate the fact that you got something accomplished, right? That you actually got past overwhelm. That's an amazing thing. Congratulate yourself. I know I'm proud of you for doing that. And then the third that I'd like to talk about today is you're in a rut, right? So you started something that you thought was exciting. You figured out the best way to get there. You have a little process. And guess what? That process is now repeated over and over and over again. It is a rut, right? So, what do you do when you realize you're just bored, right? With the choices that you made, you still are happy with the goal. You're happy with the purpose. You're happy with what it is that you want to achieve. It's just that getting there is really, you're over it. It's just so boring. Well, odds are how you do one thing is how you do everything, that you're in a rut around some other things too. So I have another training that I do, Living an Endlessly Delicious Life. And one of the things I talk about in that training is getting out of your comfort zone every single day, just a little bit. I don't want you to be scared. I want you to be uncomfortable. Things such as if you drive to and from work every day or drive to and from the store once a week, go a different route than you typically go, right? Find a different route, go way out of your way, right? If you live in a place that's seasonal, go out and just take a look at what nature is doing today because every day nature is doing something different. Nature is not afraid to do something different. Go see what nature is doing and revel in the fact that nature is not afraid to change it up, to get out of its comfort zone or her comfort zone, right? So definitely get out of your comfort zone, right? Maybe I take walks, and sometimes getting out of my comfort zone means I take a left instead of a right. It's different than what I typically do, right? And it just kind of shakes up my rut just a little bit, right? So just think of some of those things. And if you do something normal, like normally before I get up, I have my little gratitude session. Then I get up and, I might pull a few clothes together, but then look at who needs to be fed. The cat needs to be fed. I need to figure out, what am I going to be eating this day because I am careful about what I eat. And I might put the coffee on. Well, maybe instead of putting the coffee on, I'm going to have tea today. Or maybe instead of putting the coffee on, I'll have my first glass of water and, start reading my book first. Start the coffee a little bit later. Usually, if I delay the coffee, I don't have it, right? If I have something else I don't have. But the point being is I've changed my routine to get out of the rut. So not huge steps. None of these are huge steps, right? You need a target. You need to be clear about your target. You need to love your target. You need to feel your target in order to have clarity. You need to really get um, out of your comfort zone in order to get out of the rut. And if you're overwhelmed, you've got too much to do. Look at the 80-20 rule. What are the few things, the very few critical things that you can do today to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. And again, this is Gail Craft from the Empowering Process. And if this resonates with you, absolutely go ahead and subscribe so that you don't miss any more sessions that I have. I have so many lined up. Share it out with friends, people that you think might also get something out of this. Please, please, please do share it with them. I would love it. And leave a comment below, especially if you have an Ask Me Anything comment. If something came up for you during this conversation, share it with us. I would love to hold a conversation around what's important to you. That's what this is all about. The empowering process is to give you tools and technique that gives you the ability to find a process to get out of whatever it is that's holding you back from the greatness that you are. Thanks again, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Gail Craft, the Empowering Process Podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Empowering Process Podcast. Be sure to visit Gail at gailcraft.com to learn more about how she serves thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and goal seekers. And remember, if you like this broadcast, be sure to share and subscribe so you don't miss an episode.